The pen shook in her hand. She didn't want to sign it, but the man across from her, the man she had once sworn to love forever, sat cold and silent, his eyes hardened with years of disappointment and resentment. The divorce papers lay between them like a coffin lid, final, heavy, inevitable. With tears streaming down her face, Elena pressed her signature onto the lines. The ink blurred as drops of grief fell onto the page. She gathered what little strength she had left, stood up, and turned away. But before leaving, she reached into her purse and pulled out something she had hidden from him. A small white stick, a pregnancy test, positive. She had discovered it just days before, praying it would somehow bring them back together. But his bitterness, his betrayal, his refusal to change, none of it would disappear because of a baby. She looked down at the test, her trembling hands tightening around it, then ripped it into pieces. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered to herself. And with that, Elena walked away from her broken marriage and the life she thought she'd have. 6 years passed. The woman who had once left in shambles was no longer the same. Elena had rebuilt herself, piece by piece. She had moved to a new city, finished her degree, and worked tirelessly to become a child therapist. Ironically, though she had lost her own child before it was even born, she dedicated her life to helping others heal. But the shadows of her past never fully left. She sometimes wondered about that torn test, about the life that could have been. She still remembered the face of her ex-husband, Daniel, the man who had once been her everything, until ambition, pride, and betrayal had turned him into someone she could no longer recognize. Then, one ordinary autumn morning, as golden leaves fell across the sidewalk, Elena's past collided with her present. She was sipping coffee in a small café, reviewing notes for her next session, when a voice behind her froze her heart. "Elena," she turned. And there he was, Daniel. He looked different. His once neatly combed hair was now streaked with gray, his suit more wrinkled than sharp. But his eyes, the ones she had fallen in love with long ago, still carried the same piercing intensity, though softer now, touched with weariness. "Elena," he said again, as if speaking her name hurt and healed him all at once. She wanted to walk out, to never open that door again. But something about his expression kept her still. "Can I sit?" he asked. Reluctantly, she nodded. For a few moments, silence hung between them, broken only by the clinking of cups around them. Finally, he spoke. "I deserve nothing from you. Not even this conversation. But I needed to say, I'm sorry." Her heart tightened. Words she had once begged to hear had finally come, but years too late. She kept her composure. "Sorry doesn't change the past, Daniel. I know." He swallowed hard. "But maybe it can change the future." Elena almost laughed. The future. After what they had been through. After the nights she had cried herself to sleep, the betrayal, the loneliness. She shook her head. "Why now?" His eyes glistened. "Because 6 years ago, I was a fool. I let pride, greed, and mistakes destroy us. I thought money and status were everything. And when I lost you, I realized nothing mattered. I've been sober for 4 years now. Therapy, meetings, trying to be better." Her breath caught. Sober. She remembered his drinking, the late nights, the anger. It had been one of the nails in their marriage's coffin. "Elena," he whispered, "I never stopped loving you. And I know I don't deserve another chance, but I had to tell you." Her chest tightened with conflicting emotions. Love, anger, regret, relief. But then something inside her whispered, he doesn't know. He didn't know about the baby. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. Memories flooded back, her hands tearing the pregnancy test, her whispered goodbye, the emptiness she had carried since. She had miscarried weeks after the divorce, a loss she had borne alone. She had never told Daniel. She had never wanted to. But now, his presence stirred everything she had buried. The next day, she visited her sister, the only person who had known the truth. "You saw him," her sister gasped. "After all these years?" Elena nodded. "He says he's changed. He says he still loves me. And do you?" Tears pricked her eyes. "I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me hates him. And then there's the baby." Her sister's face softened. Lena, you've carried that pain alone long enough. Maybe it's time you told him. Not for him, but for you. A week later, Elena stood outside Daniel's office. She almost turned away, but something pushed her inside. He looked up, surprised, when she entered. Elena, she sat down, her hands shaking. There's something I never told you. And then she said it. About the pregnancy test. About tearing it apart. About the miscarriage. Daniel's face went pale. His hands gripped the desk until his knuckles whitened. A baby, we could have had a child. Her voice cracked. Yes, but I lost it, and I lost it alone. Tears filled his eyes. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he whispered, I'm so sorry. You carried that by yourself because of me. The rawness in his voice pierced her. For the first time, she saw not the man who had hurt her, but the man who had once loved her deeply, and who was now broken by the truth. In the weeks that followed, something shifted. They didn't rush back into romance, but they began talking. Really talking. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into hours of conversation about the past, the pain, and the possibilities. It wasn't easy. Elena still had scars. She questioned his sincerity, tested his patience, and battled her own fears. Daniel, on the other hand, faced the shame of his past choices, determined not to repeat them. They faced challenges, trust issues, old wounds, moments when Elena almost walked away again. But slowly, step by step, they rebuilt something new. Not the marriage they had lost, but a friendship, a foundation. And then, unexpectedly, life gave them another miracle. One evening, Elena sat staring at another pregnancy test in her hand. Positive. She trembled, memories rushing back. But this time was different. This time, she wasn't alone. When she told Daniel, tears streamed down his face. He dropped to his knees, hands on her stomach, whispering, "Thank you for giving me another chance to be the man I should have been." 9 months later, as Elena held their newborn daughter in her arms, she realized something profound. Life had broken her once, but it had also rebuilt her. Pain had taught her strength. Loss had taught her love. And forgiveness, hard, painful forgiveness, had taught her freedom. She looked at Daniel, cradling their baby with awe and tenderness, and for the first time in years, her heart felt whole. The message: sometimes life shatters us in ways we think we'll never recover from. Sometimes love ends, dreams die, and we're left with only scars. But scars are not the end, they are proof of survival, proof of strength. And sometimes, if we allow healing, forgiveness, and growth, life can surprise us with second chances we never imagined. Elena's story wasn't about going back, it was about moving forward. About finding the courage to rebuild. And in the end, she didn't just find love again. She found herself.